Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into something that hits close to home for a lot of us. How to handle people who just don't respect you. Whether it's subtle digs, backhanded comments, or outright disrespect. Dealing with these situations can be exhausting and frustrating. But here's the thing, respect starts with you. It's not just about getting others to treat you well, it's about setting the standard for how you want to be treated. In this video, we're going to cover 5 key ways to handle disrespect with confidence, calm, and resilience. These aren't just quick fixes or reactions. They're tools to help you walk through life with a sense of self-worth and power that no one can shake. So, if you've ever felt drained or belittled by people who refuse to see your value, stick around. We're about to dive into the art of standing tall, setting boundaries, and owning your worth. Let's get into it. Number 1. Embrace the silent stare. All right, let's jump into the first tool, the silent stare. When someone disrespects you, our instinct is often to defend ourselves or respond. But here's something more powerful. Just pause, look at them, and let that silence do the talking. Here's why it works. Disrespect thrives on reaction. People who push your buttons expect you to get defensive or explain yourself. But when you respond with silence and a steady gaze, you're sending a clear message. I respect myself too much to engage with this negativity. That silent stare without a word declares your boundaries and self-respect more loudly than any comeback ever could. I remember once dealing with someone who loved to make little digs, just trying to get a rise out of me. Normally I'd jump in and explain myself or push back, but this time I tried something different. I just looked at them, stayed silent, and let the moment hang. And guess what? They backed off. The silence made them uncomfortable, but for me, it was empowering. So, the next time someone oversteps, try the silent stare. You'll be surprised by how much strength it gives you and how quickly it makes the other person question their behavior. Sometimes, saying nothing is the most powerful statement of all. Number 2. Embrace silence as your answer. When it comes to disrespect, there's a powerful technique that's often overlooked: choosing silence as your answer. This might sound simple, but in practice, it can be one of the strongest ways to maintain control and protect your peace. Let me break it down. Imagine this. Someone's questioning your decisions. Maybe they're throwing insults your way, or just making little digs, hoping to get a reaction. And what's our usual instinct? To jump in, to explain, to defend ourselves. But here's the truth. Not every comment deserves a response, and not every question warrants an answer. Choosing silence isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about reclaiming your power by not giving away your energy to people who don't respect you. Silence can be uncomfortable, but that's exactly why it works. People who disrespect you expect a response. They want you to engage, to justify, or even to get defensive. When you choose not to play that game, you're showing them that their words have no power over you. Silence can throw people off balance because it disrupts their expectation. They're left with their words, and often they start to question why they said them in the first place. I remember a time when someone close to me kept questioning a big decision I'd made. Every conversation turned into a debate about whether I was doing the right thing. I tried explaining my reasons, but it just seemed to invite more criticism. Finally, I decided to stop explaining. I'd simply listen, nod, and let my silence be my answer. Over time, they stopped bringing it up because they realized they weren't getting the reaction they wanted. In the end, that silence preserved my energy, saved me from pointless arguments, and helped me stand firm in my choice without feeling like I needed to justify it to anyone. And here's the key point. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're weak, passive, or ignoring the situation. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Silence is a choice, a conscious decision to maintain your boundaries and protect your peace. When you let someone's disrespect hang in the air without engaging, you're sending a message that your self-worth isn't up for debate, that their words don't define you, and that you won't give away your power by getting pulled into their negativity. This approach works for another reason. Silence speaks volumes. It says, I'm not going to waste my energy on this conversation because I value myself too much. And let me tell you, when you start valuing your peace in this way, others notice. They start seeing that you won't engage in drama or let their disrespect impact you. Instead of lowering yourself to their level, you're keeping your integrity intact. Let's take this a step further. Silence also gives you clarity. When you're not busy responding, defending, or explaining yourself, you have more mental space to actually consider what's worth your time and what's not. You're no longer reacting, you're observing, seeing things for what they are, and deciding how to respond on your terms. And that's a position of strength. I encourage you to give this a try. The next time someone's pushing your buttons or questioning your choices, resist the urge to explain yourself. Just stay silent, let your actions speak, and watch what happens. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and more at peace. Remember, sometimes the loudest answer you can give is the one that isn't spoken at all. Number 3, stop explaining your choices. All right, this one might strike a chord. Stop explaining your choices. How many times have you made a decision for yourself only to be met with questions like, why did you do that? Or, why didn't you go to that event? People often feel entitled to an explanation for everything we do, but here's the truth. They're not. Your choices are your own, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. It might sound bold, but let's be real. When people question your choices, it's rarely because they genuinely want to understand. Often, they're looking to judge, to find something to critique, or to make you doubt yourself, and you don't need to play along with that. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your autonomy and show others that your life isn't up for debate. Let's explore why people feel so entitled to explanations in the first place. When they question your choices, it's often because your decisions challenge their perspective. Maybe you're taking a risk they wouldn't take, or maybe you're stepping outside their comfort zone. Your independence or willingness to do things differently can make them uneasy, and asking you to explain is their way of trying to fit you back into a familiar box. But here's the kicker. Just because someone else feels uncomfortable doesn't mean you're responsible for reassuring them. Your life isn't a public service announcement. You don't have to justify your choices to anyone. I remember when I decided to switch careers, moving from a stable job to something I was passionate about, but carried more risk. The moment people found out, it was like I'd announced I was moving to Mars. I kept getting asked, why would you leave a stable job? Or, how will you make it work? At first, I tried to explain, sharing my reasons, my plans, but no matter what I said, it never felt like enough. The more I explained, the more people questioned me, making me feel like I needed to prove myself. Then one day, I decided to try something new. When someone asked, why would you leave that job? I simply replied, because I wanted to. No extra details, no strategy breakdown, just a simple answer. And let me tell you, it felt incredible. The silence that followed said it all. I'd taken away their power to question my choices, and eventually they stopped asking. Here's the beauty of not explaining yourself. It's freeing. It's you standing in your truth, knowing that your decisions are valid simply because you made them. When you stop justifying your actions, you give yourself permission to live authentically without the weight of other people's expectations. You stop spending energy on explanations and start channeling it into actually living the life you want. Here's a powerful lesson. Your life doesn't need an audience vote. Not every decision needs to be analyzed or approved by others. When you stop explaining yourself, you're saying, "I'm confident enough in my choices that I don't need your approval." Think about it. When was the last time you saw a truly confident person break down their decisions for others? Probably never, because people who own their lives don't need external validation. They know the only approval that matters is their own. Look, I've been there. I used to be the person who'd practically give a presentation on why I was making a certain choice just to get everyone on board. But over time, I realized that explaining myself only made me second-guess my decisions. So I made a pact with myself. If someone asks me about a choice, I'll give a brief answer, maybe a sentence or two. If they push for more, I smile and move on. And you know what? Life got a lot lighter. The more I stopped explaining, the more confident I became in my own decisions. So here's my challenge to you. The next time someone questions your choices, resist the urge to explain. Just say, "Because I wanted to," or "That's what felt right for me." Then let the silence speak. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and more at peace with yourself. And the best part, you'll realize that your choices don't need anyone else's stamp of approval. They're valid simply because you made them. Number 4, keep your distance. Let's be real. Sometimes the best way to handle people who don't respect you is to keep your distance. I know it might sound a bit harsh, maybe even a little cold, but here's the truth. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. If someone consistently disrespects you, one of the healthiest moves you can make is to create some space between you and them. This doesn't mean you hate them or that you're being overly dramatic. It simply means you respect yourself enough to protect your energy. Keeping your distance isn't about being mean or ignoring people. It's about making intentional choices around where and how you invest your time and energy. Think of your life as a limited access club. Not everyone gets a VIP pass. If someone keeps crossing your boundaries, making you feel small, or just radiates negativity, why would you keep them close? It's perfectly okay, and sometimes essential, to step back. Distance can offer the clarity you need to see things as they are, free from the fog of emotional manipulation or guilt. When we allow people who disrespect us to stay close, it's like inviting them to an all-you-can-eat buffet where they take, criticize, and judge as much as they want. Then we wonder why we feel drained, anxious, or frustrated. Creating distance from these individuals is an act of self-preservation. It's about protecting your mental health, preserving your peace, and making room for people who actually respect and uplift you. Letting go of the guilt around distancing yourself can be liberating. You're not obligated to keep people who treat you poorly in your life. I remember once having a friend who couldn't resist making little jabs at my choices, whether it was my career, my relationships, or even my taste in music. At first I thought, well, that's just how they are. Maybe I'm overreacting. So I kept them around, trying to brush it off. But over time, those little jabs started getting under my skin. I realized I was walking on eggshells, always bracing for the next criticism or joke that felt more like a punch. One day, I decided to try something different. I didn't make a big announcement or call them out. I just started limiting my time with them. Instead of seeing them every week, I'd see them maybe once a month. And guess what? I felt lighter, freer. That space gave me the mental clarity to see just how toxic that friendship had become. Distancing myself helped me see that I deserved better, friends who would build me up rather than tear me down. Now, some people might tell you that keeping your distance is selfish, or they'll say, but they're family, or you've been friends for years. It can feel uncomfortable, maybe even a little taboo, to admit that someone close to you might not be good for you. Society often tells us to be loyal, forgiving, and nice, but at what cost? Here's the secret. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. You're not here to be anyone's emotional punching bag or their constant source of validation. Sometimes the most powerful way to show someone you've had enough is simply by stepping back. Keeping your distance is a reminder that you are your own priority. You don't have to play a role someone else has assigned to you. You don't owe anyone access to your mind, time, or emotions. By putting space between you and disrespectful people, you're making a statement. Your well-being comes first. And that's not just self-care, it's self-respect. Distance also allows you to refocus on the relationships that truly matter, the ones that genuinely uplift you. Think about it. The more time you spend with people who respect you, the more confident and fulfilled you feel. The less time you spend around those who tear you down, the less influence they have over your thoughts, mood, and life. I used to feel so guilty about distancing myself from people, even if they weren't treating me well. I'd think, what if they think I don't care? Or maybe I'm overreacting. But over time, I learned that creating distance wasn't just about removing negativity, it was about making space for growth. When I finally allowed myself to distance from disrespectful people, I felt a new kind of freedom. I had more energy, more peace, and a clearer vision of who I wanted in my life. So here's my challenge to you. Think about the people in your life who constantly disrespect you, who make you feel small or drained. Then ask yourself, do they really deserve this much access to me? Number 5, hold your head high. Let's talk about a classic that never goes out of style, holding your head high. I know it might sound like generic advice, but trust me, this one is pure gold when it comes to handling people who don't respect you. Here's the thing. When someone disrespects you, they're often trying to make you feel small. They want you to doubt yourself, to lower your gaze, to shrink into yourself. But when you stand tall and hold your head high, you're saying, without a single word, I know who I am, and nothing you do can make me feel less. The power in this is that confidence makes people uncomfortable, especially those who thrive on disrespect. Why? Because they rely on the idea that their words or actions can control or diminish you. But when you refuse to let their disrespect touch you, when you literally hold your head up high, you're showing them that they don't have the power to bring you down. You're unbreakable. And people who thrive on putting others down don't know what to do with that. It throws them off balance. I remember a situation with someone who couldn't resist tossing little insults my way every time we met. You know the type, always a smirk, always a joke that felt more like a jab. I tried brushing it off, but honestly, it got to me. I found myself dreading being around them, always on guard. But one day, I decided to stop feeling small. I walked in, shoulders back, head high, and every time they made one of those comments, I just looked them in the eye, smiled, and carried on. And you know what? They backed off. It was like they could sense that their words couldn't reach me anymore. I was too far above that nonsense, and suddenly their power faded. Holding your head high creates a silent force field that says, I'm untouchable, and people who don't respect you often hate seeing that. It disrupts their view of themselves as above you, as having power over you. Society isn't always comfortable with people who are unapologetically confident, especially those who don't let negativity define them. And yes, that can make you a target, but holding your head high isn't about them. It's about you. It's about living like you fully understand your worth, as if you have nothing to prove. When you hold your head high, you're declaring that you see yourself as valuable, as deserving of respect, as inherently enough. And here's the deeper truth. Self-worth isn't something you earn from others. It's something you claim for yourself. Holding your head high reminds you that you're the main character in your own story. You're showing the world that no one else's opinion can make you feel small. And here's the beauty of it. The more you practice this, the less other people's disrespect will even register. You'll be too busy living in your own lane, too secure in who you are to be bothered by anyone else's attempts to knock you down. Now, I won't pretend this was always easy for me. I used to be the person who'd slouch, avoid eye contact, shrink into myself when people were critical or dismissive. It felt safer to disappear. But over time, I realized that every time I held my head high, every time I refused to let someone's negativity seep into my spirit, I felt stronger. I was reminding myself over and over that I didn't need anyone's approval to feel worthy. I could simply stand tall in who I was. Holding your head high isn't just about physical posture, it's about mental posture too. Walk into every room like you belong there. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. If someone makes a snarky comment, let it roll off. They're not seeing the real you, they're projecting their own insecurities. So why let it bother you? Here's my challenge. The next time you feel disrespected, whether it's a subtle dig or a full-on insult, don't react. Instead, take a deep breath, pull your shoulders back, and keep your head high. Look them straight in the eye as if to say, I see you, but I'm above this. You'll feel a rush of confidence, a peace that comes from knowing their words hold no power over you. Holding your head high isn't just good posture. It's a powerful, silent statement of your self-respect. It says, I know who I am, I value who I am, and nothing you say can change that. Because, at the end of the day, respect starts with you. The more you respect yourself, the less room there is for anyone else's disrespect to stick. So, stand tall, own your worth, and remember that you're worth every bit of that confidence. Life's too short to bend over backward for people who can't see your value. You don't need anyone's permission to stand tall, protect your peace, and live life on your terms. People will try to bring you down, test your boundaries, and question your choices. That's just the world we live in. But here's the thing. You get to decide what energy you let in, and you get to set the standard for how you're treated. The best part? The more you focus on respecting yourself, the more you'll attract people who see your worth and uplift you. It all starts with you owning your power and letting the rest fall into place. So hold your head high, embrace the silence when it serves you, and never apologize for walking away from what doesn't serve you. Thanks so much for watching. If you got something out of this, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more content on owning your life and building the confidence to thrive. Share this with someone who needs a reminder to stand tall, and drop a comment below if you have a story about handling disrespect or setting boundaries. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, take care, stay strong, and remember, respect starts with you.